Okay, everybody. It is November 30th, 2025. If you're watching this, you're trying to get information for Unit 5 Lesson 49. I am replacing the video that was posted to YouTube from me, made by me from 2021. I just didn't like how the video flowed and how it really synced up with lectures, so here I am redoing it. The previous lesson had a couple hundred views from past students getting ready for tests, getting ready for exams. So it's definitely something that you can rely upon to get information on a lecture or information if you may have been absent or you just need a further clarification. Okay, so here we go. We're going to be talking about pedigrees when it comes to sex-linked traits. I want to remind you just a few of the ground rules when it comes to pedigree, because I can say when I was grading students' heredity assignment number 2, which is all based on pedigrees, there were certainly some misconceptions, okay? So just to make sure we understand some of the ground rules here. Circles are females and squares are males. Okay, I should probably draw these on the outside. Just make sure we're clear. Now, a line connecting a male to a female like that indicates that they have mated. If you want to say they're married, I'm not going to stand in and correct you, but do keep in mind that these are not always referencing humans. So you're not going to say that the bumblebees had a wedding or the billy goats had a beautiful wedding the other day. So sometimes it's not in reference to animals, but if you're going to say married, I'm not going to bother to correct you. A line descending from that horizontal line indicates that they have offspring, and the offspring branch off like this. So let's say that they had 3 children. This would indicate they have 2 sons and a daughter. Be very careful if you have something like this. A lot of people mistook if I were to ask you how many individuals did these two have, a lot of people said 4 because they were counting that female as their fourth. That is not their child. That is their son's spouse. So they mated and they have one daughter. So there's a little bit of the understanding how to do that. Now, if you have an individual that is shaded in, this means that they are affected by a trait. And you would have to learn, is the trait dominant or is it recessive? If you want further information on how to determine if a trait is dominant or recessive, I would invite you to refer back to the lesson on pedigrees. It's in this playlist on YouTube for Unit 5. Okay, now that's just some of the ground rules when it comes to pedigrees. Let's get into how it applies when it comes to sex-linked traits. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about color blindness. This is going to be the allele for normal vision. We're going to call them wild type. Remember, wild type means dominant form of the trait or the normal form of the trait. And then this allele is going to be um, red, green, colorblind, which is the mutant form of the trait. Now, keep in mind that this is a sex-linked trait, so they had to be synced up with their sex chromosomes, specifically their X chromosomes, okay? So if I have a female that looks like this, she is going to be homozygous dominant and have the wild type trait, which would be normal vision. If I have a female with this genotype, she is going to be heterozygous and she'll have the wild type trait. Now keep in mind that heterozygous means hybrid or a carrier. Then you have this person, this female, who is homozygous recessive and has the mutant trait, which would be colorblind. And then you have a male. Remember, this is an X-linked trait, so males only have one X, so they only have one copy of the color blindness gene. If they have this form of the gene, that allele, then they are normal. So we're going to say they're hemizygous dominant, which is wild type, also known as normal. And then we have a male with that genotype. He is hemizygous recessive, and he is going to be a mutant type, which means that he has color blindness, either red, green, or both. I gotta stress to you because I recall before we had our Thanksgiving break when we were talking on lesson 48, there seemed to just kind of be some confusion here. Color blindness is an X-linked trait. Females have two copies of it because they have two X's, but males can only have one copy. And so the male gender cannot be a carrier for an X-linked trait. Um, but a female can. Okay. So what I want to go over now is I want to run through a few scenarios that students throughout my day said applied to them. Okay. And I want to try to put their family into a pedigree. So let's go with scenario one. We have a female student, a female with a colorblind grandfather. And this grandfather was on her mother's side. So that's the maternal side, okay? So here we go. Here's grandma, here's grandpa, here's mom. Mom meets dad. And here's the student I have. Here's the daughter. So there's three generations. I'm going to shade in grandpa because he is affected. He is X recessive allele. Oh, now I asked her, is your grandmother colorblind? And she said no. So I don't know if grandmother is homozygous dominant or heterozygous, so I can put a question mark here. I don't know for sure. But here's what I do know. I asked her, is your mother colorblind? And she said, no, she isn't. Mom is not colorblind. So I know that mom has at least one dominant allele. But keep this in mind. What chromosome did this student's mother inherit from her father? It had to be the X chromosome right here. And so this student's mother inherited a mutant form of the allele. This student's mother is a carrier. So on a pedigree, when it comes to sex-linked traits, a half filled in circle is a female who is a carrier. She is heterozygous. Okay. Now I ask her, is your father colorblind? She says no. So remember, males cannot be a carrier. Have it or they don't. The fact that dad is not colorblind, that's it. Okay. Now, here comes the interesting part. This student I have is not colorblind. And I ask her, are you colorblind? She goes, no. Okay, so she has at least one dominant allele. What is the other one? We don't know. We would have to wait until this girl reproduces to really know for sure. But here's what I'm going to tell you. This female student of mine has a mother with a normal X and a mutant X. Which one did she inherit from her mom? I don't know. What I do know is that she inherited the normal one from her father. So that goes there. So here's the scenario. If this student inherited that X chromosome from mom, then she's going to be homozygous dominant and she'll be completely normal. On the other hand, if she inherited that X chromosome from mom, then she will be a carrier just like her mom. It's 50-50 because egg cells have one X chromosome. So that was one scenario that I had with a student. Here's the next. I'm going to give you guys several. Scenario two. A male has a colorblind father? So I had a male student. I asked after every class, some of you may recall, are any of you related to someone who's colorblind? And this male student raised his hand. I said, okay, who? And he said, my dad. I said, do you have any siblings? He said, yes, I have a sister. All right. So here's her family, or excuse me, here's his family. Now, the first thing is let's go and call right in the chromosomes, sex chromosomes, that is. Now, I asked this male student, are you colorblind? He says, no. All right, so he inherited that from mom. Says, is your sister colorblind? He said, no. Okay, so there's that. Now, is your mom colorblind? He says, no. Okay, so there's that. So let's take this one at a time. Your dad is colorblind. So we're going to color him in like this. This means that he is affected. And so I then ask, what chromosome did you inherit from your mother? He said, one of my mother's X's. I said, that's absolutely correct. Now, do we know for sure that your mom is homozygous dominant or heterozygous? We don't know for sure. So I'm going to put a question mark there. But what I do know is he had to have inherited that X from his mom because he can see red and green. And then I say, okay, sex chromosome did you inherit from your father? The Y. All right, so here's a very important point. Can a father having an X-linked trait, I think I should write this down. Can a father's X-linked trait be inherited by his son or sons? The answer is no, because what sex chromosome do fathers pass on to their sons? They pass on the Y. I had a student a couple years ago who actually last year in 2024, 2025 school year, he had a colorblind father. And I gave him the colorblind test like I talked about in lesson 48, and he turned out to have green color blindness. And he initially thought, oh, my dad had it, I must have it. No, he didn't have it from his father. He did not inherit it from his father. He inherits a Y chromosome from his father. The Y chromosome doesn't carry the color blindness gene, which means he had to have inherited from his mother. That's how he got it. Now, let's talk about his sister. I asked him, is your sister colorblind? He says no. Okay. So sister had to have inherited a normal X chromosome from mom. But no matter what is sister going to inherit from dad? A mutated X. So sister is colorblind. Or excuse me, I take that back. Sister is a carrier for colorblindness. And some of you girls fit this description here. Check this out. Let's say you end up with the man of your dreams and you have a child. And let's say the man of your dreams can see colors. So he is not colorblind. But you, and I forgot to half shade this in, you are a carrier for color blindness. I want you guys to check out the Punnett square of what happens when a heterozygous female or a sex-linked trait and a normal male reproduce. That would be a homozygous dominant female. That would be a heterozygous female. So both are going to be normal. But the worst you could do for the female child would be a carrier, just like her. But then look at this. Normal, which I should start saying wild type, shouldn't I? And then here, mutant. So here's what, and some girls throughout my day fall in this category where they have a father who's colorblind. So I know we're initially talking about the son, but I want to talk about some of you girls. If any of you girls have a father who is colorblind, you are a carrier, 100%. And here's why. Here's your dad. Let's say here's your mom. And I'm just going to do the girls here. Look at them both. They're both carriers. So here's the message I have for you girls who are a carrier for colorblindness. If you grow up and if you have a son, there's a 50-50 chance that he will be colorblind. 50-50. And here it is right there. And that son would have inherited it from the mother because you got to remember again, sometimes I got to repeat myself a lot. Repetition helps. Boys inherit their dad's Y chromosome. A trait like colorblindness is carried on the X, which boys inherit from their mother. Boys inherit colorblindness from their moms. Even if you have a dad who's colorblind, like I had a student last year, a dad having colorblindness and his son happened to be colorblind too, have nothing to do with each other. That son had to have inherited it from mom. Okay? So I want to give you another scenario. This will be my last one. I had a student. She was a female, and here's her dad, and here's her mom. Now, this is how rare this is. This goes back way back to when I taught at Robinson High School in the last year. I taught at Robinson. Was the 2015, 2016 school year. So it's been a minute. I've only met two colorblind girls in my life. This was one of them. So here's why I ask her. She's definitely colorblind. All right. I know the answer to this next question by saying, is your dad colorblind? Absolutely, he has to be. Is your mom colorblind? She says no. Okay. So here's the scenario, guys. Let me color in dad, color in daughter. This student I had a long time ago. This is a girl. So she has an X from dad's side and an X from mom's side. Dad only has one X to give. What is he going to give to daughter? His one mutated. Now, mom has a normal X chromosome here, I should say wild type, and then a mutated one. Which one is mom going to pass on to daughter? Flip a coin. It's 50-50. She inherited the mutated one. So this is what it takes for a female to have an X-linked trait, to show it, to display it. She has to have a affected father and at the least a carrier mother. Now, I want to go off. That was 10 years ago, and I've seen this student out in Tampa out and about. She has kids. She's got to be, gosh, 25, 26 years old by now. And people have kids in their 20s. Some of your parents had you when they were in their 20s. So I say, okay. I ask her, do you have a husband who's colorblind? She says no. All right. Do you have children? Yep. Okay. What do you got? I have a son and I have a daughter. There they are. Daughter, son. Well, XY, XX. Can you tell me, guys, just by looking at the pedigree, what would the son's genotype be? Well, Sonny Boy inherited dad's Y. He inherits an X from mom. Both X's are the same. What's son going to be? He's going to be colorblind. And who did he inherit it from? He inherited it from mom. And here's baby girl. Here's their daughter. I say, is your daughter colorblind? She goes, no. All right. That means that she inherited the dominant allele from dad and had to inherit the recessive allele from mom. So her daughter is a carrier. And look at this. All this came from her. And nothing, dad had nothing to do with it. Okay. All right. I'd like to now move on to the next topic, which is X inactivation. Now, quick refresher. A female has two X chromosomes in every somatic cell. Your mom has two, your aunt has two, your grandmother has two, your sister has two. If you're a girl, you have two. A female has two X chromosomes on every somatic cell in your body. A male has one X chromosome in every somatic cell. The other one is a Y, if you're curious. Now, here's where it gets interesting. One of a female's X chromosomes is, for lack of a better term, shut down in every somatic cell. And this is where I need you to listen to me and not just jump to your own conclusions. It is there. It is just deactivated. So if I have a girl's somatic cell right here, and you got autosomes 1 through 44, and just so we're not getting confused, that means that's pairs 1 through 22. Then her sex chromosomes, X and X, here's what I'm going to do. It's shut down. Please understand, it is there. It's like if your car gets towed and is impounded. Your car exists. Your car is somewhere. It is there. It's in the impound lot. You can't get to it. It's basically shut down. Okay? That means that in every female's body, she has an active X chromosome and an inactive X chromosome. The inactive X chromosome is called a bar body. Now, when I say it's inactive, its genes cannot be expressed. Okay? Now, a few things. What happened to this inactive X chromosome? The X inactivation is due to methylation. And this is an incredibly important term for when we get to lesson 50 and then when we get into unit 6. Methylation basically means a chromosome or gene is shut down without changing the DNA. Methylation can be added and methylation can be removed. It it happens a lot, and we're going to talk way more about it when we get to or lesson 50 after this. So males don't get this because males only have one X. Females have two X's. So to sort of make it a level playing field, in an adult female, she has two X's, but she only has one active X. And that matches with the male in his active X. So to give you a visual, here's a female with her two X's. Here's a male with his X in his Y. One of her X's is going to be inactivated. That is what we will refer to as the bar body. It has been methylated. And so as you can now see, she has one active X and he has one active X. Now, in case some of you girls are saying, well, how come he gets to have an extra Y and I don't? Listen, the Y chromosome is nothing to be jealous about. It's not a lot. There's not a lot there. It's basically the SRY gene. That's it. All right. Now, something on the side I want to tell you is you've heard me mention a few times before in class that I had an aunt who had Turner syndrome. And in Turner syndrome, my Aunt Diane, she had one X chromosome, but due to non-disjunction, you should know that term, she didn't have the other. So it's a blank. So she was my Aunt Diane. Remember, I told you that with some exceptions, a female has two X chromosomes. This is one of those exceptions. My Aunt Diane had one X chromosome. Now, I asked a college professor, how can a girl, like any girl in my classes, any girl you've ever known, have two X's, but one of them be shut down and be developed completely normally, while my Aunt Diane obviously had deficiencies because she had 45 total chromosomes. Um, she was missing an X. And so here's what my college professor way back in the day told me. He said that during meiosis, when a female is making her egg cells, both of her X's are active. This allows her to inherit or to pass on an active X to either her sons or her daughters. Now, if you're a girl and you are developing inside of your mother, you have both X's turned on because you need all the data, all the information from those X chromosomes to make a fully developed female. The problem with my Aunt Diane with her Turner syndrome is that she had an underdeveloped uterus, underdeveloped ovaries, other underdeveloped other female characteristics, and she had 45 chromosomes. A human is supposed to have 46. All of you have 46 chromosomes, but girls, your one of your X's is just shut down. I gotta stress this so much. It's there, it's present, it's just turned off. There's a big difference between having something and it being turned off versus not having that something at all. And that's what was facing my Aunt Diane, the difference between Turner syndrome and Barr body. So let's say I have Jamie, the student in fourth period. Um, she developed in her mother's womb with all 46 chromosomes contributing to her development, giving her all the information, making her skeleton, her nervous system, her digestive system, her reproductive system, all that stuff. My Aunt Diane, when she was in my grandma's womb, she only had 45 to work with. And that was the problem. And she definitely has deficiencies, which normal humans and with that are euploidic don't have to face. So sometime during gestation is when your mom is pregnant with you. One X shuts down, and that is the bar body. It's there. It's just turned off. It's shut down due to methylation. Can the methylation be undone? Yes. Can it be removed? Yes. It's a big difference between having something and just having it turned off versus not having something at all. A lot of you have cars parked at Plain High School's parking lot. Your car is here. It's just shut off. And then there's some of you that don't have a car at all. There's a big difference between having a car and it being shut down versus having no car. That's what my Aunt Diane faced between having one X versus someone having two, even though one's turned off. Okay. And then the last thing that I need to get to here. Oops, I don't know why I just wrote calico. I got a little ahead of myself here. Um, is methylation, bar bodies, and codominance. Now, if you recall codominance, to jog your memory a little bit, two traits simultaneously expressed. Okay, and what I want to talk about here is a calico cat. It's also called a turtle shell. I don't really understand why, but it is what it is. This is a cat, and it has to be a female with orange and black fur. Now, this is something I got to make clear because in past years, some students think that this applies to humans. So I want to say in cats, in parentheses, not humans. Fur color is an X-linked trait. Okay? So let's kind of go through it. Here are the alleles. If you have an O, that's orange. If you have a B, that's black. It's X-linked. All right, so check it. Here's a female. She's homozygous, or you could say true breeding orange. Here's a female. She is homozygous, or you could say true breeding black. Okay, now check out the male. He is hemizygous, orange. And then we got hemizygous black. Okay. And then the wild card. We have a female cat who is heterozygous. And that would result in calico pattern, orange and black. But here's the trick, guys. This is where we're going into codominance. So I'm going to draw a little cat's face here. Don't laugh at my cat. Okay. Put some whiskers on this guy. There we go. Now, this is where it gets interesting. This cat is a female cat. I think I can make that very clear. This is a female. There are two X's in every somatic cell. But one of those X's is shut down. It is a bar body. It is methylated. So let me give you a hypothetical. Let's say that I think you'll start to get the hang of it here. Let's say I color this part of the cat's face black. Okay? There's two X's. There's the black gene and the orange gene. Which chromosome is methylated? The orange one, which means black is the only color that will show up. I could say the same thing, let's say in a little stripe right here, a little area. We got black, we got orange. The orange gene is methylated. Okay, let's say I color in this part of the cat, orange. Well, oops, this is a little crazy. We got black, we got orange. Which one is the bar body? The black allele, or the black chromosome. The X chromosome carrying the black allele is what I meant to say. Okay, let's say I go here. Which one is the bar body? the X chromosome carrying the black gene. And then finally, let's say this little sliver here is black. Which X chromosome is the bar body? It will be the one carrying the orange. So this is why only female cats can be calico that have this trait because they can have both black and orange, but one of them is going to be inactive, which is the bar body, and the other one's going to be active, which will express the trait. That is an example of codominance, and I believe you have a problem like that in your homework. So let's say that you wanted to cross a black male with a calico female. Let's see the outcomes you could get. That would be a black female cat. That would be a black male cat. This would be a calico female cat. And that would be an orange male cat. So you get a lot of different combinations here. Okay, that is it for lesson 49. I hope that was helpful.